5 things pros don't do that you should avoid. This video is by Unisport, so let's get straight into it.
Playing like the pros is not easy, but apart from the pros having an insanely high technical level, they're typically also better because they know which things to do and also which things not to do on the pitch. So today I decided to look at 5 things that the pros are great at avoiding. And maybe you recognize some of these things from your own game, and if you can cut some of them out, you'll have already improved a little bit. Let's get going.
Alright, so we're going to be looking at the top 5 things that pros don't do that you should avoid. So let's look at it together and see what Unisport has to say about it.
The first thing pros don't do is taking too many touches, or more specifically, taking too many touches at the wrong time. Sometimes dribbling or taking an extra touch can be good as well, but pros often have a very good sense of knowing when to do it. But when shouldn't you then take too many touches? Well, generally speaking, football is a game where you don't need more than 2 touches. One to control the ball and one to pass it.
Alright, so the first thing they mentioned is, you shouldn't take too many touches. And I'm pretty sure any of you guys that have played at the highest level, a majority of the time when the ball's moving, nobody's using more than maximum 3 touches. There's only a few times whenever even any pro coach or any high level coach will tell you is when they want you to take a lot of touches, where? The final third, when you're about to score, because it's gonna, you're at the end of the field. There's nobody else to pass it to as forwards, right? So you have to do more touches. Take it when you do your 1v1s, you need more touches. But even then, when you're doing 1v1s, you can do a 1v1, pass it to another midfielder or forward, and do a 1-2. So even then, you want to do as the least amount of touches as much as possible to get into the box, which I 100% agree, because in many matches players like to overplay. They think that if they dribble a lot of people a lot of the times, it looks good. But when you're a center back and you're dribbling a lot, even though you may be beating people, the coach on the sideline that's looking for players, he's not going to be like, oh yeah, I want that defender that plays around in the back, because there's no need for that. He wants the defender that gets the ball and gets it out into the midfielder so they can move it to the forward. But if you're always playing with the ball all the times, you look like a ball hog, and that's not a good sign for a team player. Let's continue.
However, of course, it can be useful to take more than 2 touches when you're attacking, where one-on-one situations are more common and losing the ball is less risky.
Yes. If you're dribbling in the back and you lose the ball, there's a higher chance that they can score on you. But if you're over dribbling in the final third trying to score a goal and they end up taking the ball away from you, that's not a threat, because they can send it long. You still have your defensive line to save it. You have your midfielder to save it. Boom, you're fine. You lose it as a defensive mid or anybody on the back line, oh yeah, your team might just cry,
Secondly, we have playing complicated football. Now, this is a concept that many, especially new players, get wrong when they watch highlights or compilations on YouTube. Because while it's true that some players use a lot of skills, it's often just 1% of the game. Now, the remaining 99% of the game is played as simple as possible. Here, it's just about passing and moving. And you should always look to pass and move, pass and move. And if you face a situation where you need to dribble, try to keep it as simple as possible. And the pros know that if you keep it simple, there's less risk of losing the ball and the other team going up and scoring.
Okay, so he has a valid point here. It's always better to play simple and effective 100% of the time. But at the same time, we have to remember, as footballers, we're entertainers as well. Because if our games aren't entertaining, people aren't going to watch. And you ever just sit down and watch people like Messi, Ronaldinho, Neymar, they'll be doing certain things on the pitch that just makes you feel entertained, that you want to watch more, right? Not everything they do necessarily helps them try to score, but they incorporate these type of entertainment, I don't even know if that's a word, but entertainment for the people who are watching. But the number one priority is never playing overcomplicated when it comes to the game, to the pitch. Don't overplay, don't overdo, don't do too much. But just time it right. If you guys are leading 2-0 and maybe you want to show some entertainment to the crowd, there's your chance. But when you guys are 0-0, that's not the time to be trying to showboat or do anything excessive. When you're up 1-0, I probably wouldn't either. But if you're up 2-0 or 3-0 and you want to do some extra stuff to keep the viewers entertained, by all means, okay, I will give leeway to that, because you see players at the top level, once they're winning and it's pretty much a solid win, they start doing some cool things to entertain the crowd. Because at the end of the day, you guys, footballers are entertainers. All athletes are entertainers, because the way we perform on the pitch is to entertain those who are watching. We want to bless those who watch us play. And that's part of the game being spectacular. So that's just what I wanted to add to that point that he mentioned here about don't overcomplicate things.
Now, for the third thing pros don't do, we have stopping the ball dead. This is more specifically stopping the ball whenever they receive it, because instead of fully stopping the ball, you should focus on receiving the ball with intent and have a plan for what you're going to do with it. Because
100%, I agree with this 100%. There's nothing that irritates coaches more than anything is people who stop the play of the ball. So if somebody's passing you the ball, if you're not a forward holding off a defender and you stopping the ball, that's probably one of the few times that's okay. The forward stopping the ball or the goalkeeper stopping the ball. Everybody else, whenever you receive the ball, you're going to some other direction, because remember, the moment the ball is passed to you, you have defenders headed towards you, right? The moment, if you stop the play, if you stop the ball, guess who gets closer? Defenders. Now your passing lanes are closed. But if the ball's coming, defenders are coming to you. You touch it away from the defenders, they got to keep going. But the moment you touch it away, new lanes have opened up so you can keep going. As you can see in this video.
When you have a plan for what you want to do with the ball, you can take a directional touch without having to stop the ball, look around, and then make a directional touch.
And another thing that helps with this is before you get the ball, be sure to ask for it. Because whenever you're asking for the ball, this is something I learned in Costa Rica. Whenever you're asking for the ball, you know in the back of your head that, oh, snap, I might get it. So let me start trying to think of where am I going to go next. But if you're quiet and the ball surprisingly just comes to you, it's harder to take that first direction to that open space. So a lot of people who stop the ball shows coaches that, oh, this guy isn't aware of his surroundings. He has to stop the ball, look down, look around, and then choose a path. No, it should be the ball's coming. You already know where you're going to go. All right, cut, boom, you're on to the next.
Takes too much time and you're going to be closed down. But the key is also to look up when the ball comes at you so you know where to go, but also where not to go. And then there's wasting energy, which is also a thing that pros don't often do. By this, I don't mean that you shouldn't give your 100% whenever you play, but more that you should make sure that you're doing it at the right time. For example, running after a ball you'll never reach can be a waste of energy.
I agree.
So there's no point doing it. Essentially, you need to try and limit yourself to stay in your role for most of the game. If you take too many runs as a midfielder, I know it sounds stupid, but if you take too many unnecessary runs, you won't have enough energy to cover the necessary ones. And if you help out too much defensively, unnecessarily at least as a striker, maybe you won't have the energy to go on a counterattack. However, of course, when that is said, some of the biggest opportunities can be created when you get out of your position and thereby confuse the defense. So always think a little bit, be clever, but pick your battles, pick your moments to do this, and don't do it just at every opportunity you get.
Another big thing to pay attention to when it comes to wasting energy, like you're saying, is a lot of teams kill themselves just by continuously going forward. For some reason, for some spectacular reason, even if you look at youth teams to pro teams, this mentality shift of I don't have to score, some people don't understand it. So you'll have the back line that are continuously just trying to send through balls over the top consistently without giving forwards a time to break. But something I've learned playing Division 1 is, hey, sometimes you attack maybe for 5-10 minutes, and for another 5, you're not worried about attacking. You're just worried about keeping possession, getting the other team tired. Because when you keep pressing and attacking, you guys drain yourself, and then when that counter comes back, it's harder to defend. So wasting energy, a way to save your energy, you look at a lot of pro teams, they'll pass it all the way to their goalkeeper. The goalkeeper will give it to the center backs or the wingers. The wingers will give it to midfielder, and then they'll rinse and repeat. Because the forwards come back trying to win it, and then they send it back to the center backs or the goalkeeper, rinsing and repeat, just keeping possession. And that way your team is not getting tired and you're not wasting energy. So whenever it comes time to attack, oh yeah, you guys are fully pumped up and have energy. And your forwards had time to rest because you guys were just passing and keeping possession around to give them time to rest up and get ready for the next attack.
And lastly, we have the mistake of not managing time well. Now sometimes it can feel like the pros have almost mastered this to perfection when you see them wasting time while being 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go. Now, it can be very frustrating to play against or watch. However, you can't deny that it's effective. Time management is effective, but it doesn't have to be classic time wasting. Pros also sometimes understand that they need to slow the game down and remain in control. Or
slowing the game down, right? Here's your options. Keep possession. If you know you guys, there's 1 minute on the clock left and you guys are up 2-1, keep possessions. You know, stop trying to overhit the balls, just pass it around. And then if you guys get cornered, then you send it long. But besides that, there's no need to attack. Keep it along your midfielder, your back line, your goalkeeper. Just keep possession, wasting time. They hate it. They lose their head. Forwards start sprinting at you crazy, trying to win the ball. They lose their head. And you guys just pass around, and then you get that counter attack.
To take a quick throw in when they're chasing a goal. Essentially, they're aware of the intended pace of the game at every minute. And this is something you should probably be aware of as well.
Another cool thing for wasting time is on throw-ins. If you're the person that usually takes it, or if there's somebody that always takes all the time, you go grab the ball and act like you're going to throw it, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you know what? Let me put it back down. He's going to take it, and then you jog out on. Just little things you get good at, and it gets a little harder to get away with them as you get to higher leagues because refs know to look for these things to give you a yellow for if it's excessive. So, but it's good to know these things, especially if you're at a lower level. Oh yeah, you can milk these times by a long shot.
Understanding the flow of the game, understanding the flow of time, and what you need to do in that moment. So be aware of if you should try and rush things or maybe take some pace out of the game by stepping on the ball and passing it back instead of risking losing the ball by just pushing forward.
Yep, there's so many teams that will end up changing the tide of the game just because they kept pressing or trying to attack when they were up and the game is almost over, but because they kept trying to attack, they're all tired, the other team gets a counter and the score now is 1-1 and the game is over with a draw. Horrible mistake. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, and if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. And by all means, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment section down below. I'm consistently, responding to you guys' questions. I want to help as many players as much as possible become better in their game. And yeah, hit me up on my Instagram as well. On that note, God bless you and thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Jodabenitv.
Oh baby, you might just make me go crazy. Thinking about you like all day. I'ma need you like always. How'd I get messed up like this?